Tes. Pasuk Tes. Tissues, please. Thank you. Pasuk Tes. V'lokachto eshtei avnei shoam. You should take the two the shoam stones. These are the stones that go on the shoulder, two shoulders of the Kohen Gadol. This has to do with the ephod. Uvitachta aleim shmos bnei Yisrael. And you should etch into them. That means this is already engraving. The names of Bnei Yisrael. No, this wasn't pushed in. The stones of the Choshen, that's the Avnei Muluim. They have to be whole stones. It's the Ramban we had earlier. That's referred to as Avnei Muluim. Muluim means they're complete. They weren't diminished whatsoever. Here it's actually carved out. It's being engraved. So he says, over here the Baal Turim says the two Avnei Shoim, they correspond to the Shnei Luchos Habris, to the two Luchos. So he says, because if you take the letter Shin, how do you spell Shin? Shin Yud Nun, Hey is Hey Aleph, Mem is Mem Mem. So the gematria of Shin, Hey Mem in their full spelling is Luchaluchos. Okay, you following? Okay. Shisha mishmosam alo even achas hoechos. 6 of the names should be on one stone. There's shmos hashisha hanosorim. See, obvious difficulty. And the names of the 6 remaining, alo even ashenis, on the second stone, ketoldos, are based on their birth. I mean, it seems to be what is nosorim. I mean, the second 6 are no less than the first 6. It says the first 6 on the first stone, say, and 6 on the second stone. What's hanosorim? And the 6 that are left, I mean that weren't on the first stone, you put it on the second. So v'shisha even hashenis. What is the connotation of hanosorim? Those that are left over. First, let's see Rashi. So here the Baal Turim says the first letters of Shisha Mishmosam Al. That it's Shema. Shin Mem Ayin. Shisha Mishmosam Al. Rashi Tevis Shema. Toldosam Kedeshin Kesedishin Oldu. Toldos means in the order of their birth. Ruven Shimon Levi Yehuda Don Naftali Al Achas. Valashneni Shnio God Osher Yisoch Zvulun. Yosef Binyamin Moli. Binyamin is written in its full because Binyamin is spelled with 2 yuds or with 1 yud. Shkenu Kos Mokum Toldoso. Chofei Osios B'chol Achas V'Achas. You have 25 letters on every one of the stones. Kos of Orchos B'nei Yisrael. Cho is 25. Kos of Chofei. What's the nosorim? Somebody speaks about it. What's the nosorim? The 6. The Orachaim HaKosher. You look. But it's something has to be looked into. What's Shisha Mishmo Shisha Nosorim? Okay, now how this was done, this is the difference between the stones on the Choshen and the stones on the ephod. Masa Chorash. What is Chorash? Engraving. Charisha. Even, Chorash Eved Pituche Chosam. Tefatach al Shnei Shtei Avonim al Shmos B'nei Yisrael. Musabos Mishpozov Tasosam. They should be inlaid in inlays of gold. Rashi, 6 names on each stone. That's explicit in the pasuk. Masa chorosh even, masa uman shel avonim. Chorosh that. Okay, okay. Tu chosam k'tagbu ksav meforash kiglof isko. So take a look in the Sivchomim, Keglaf Kechakiko, engraving. Charutzes Haosius Betochen, Kimoshechortzet Chosbi Tabos. Right? If you have a signet ring, what do you have? You have wax. So the signet ring either could be it's carved, it's engraved. So when you put the ring in the wax, so it makes an indentation. You have two, either the letters protrude, right? They protrude at the face of the ring, or they're indented. So either way, Shem lachtum igoros ksav nikum furish al shmos, kamo b'shmos, musabos, mishbetzos, mukofos avonim, b'mishbetzos zov. They're encircled with these gold inlays, these settings, gold settings. Shosa Moshe ve'even bezov kimin guma. Limidas evin, that it was like an indentation made of gold, which was the height of the stone, umishako b'mishbetzos, and it was like sunken in. It was put in. Nimtzas hamishbetz sovev evin sovev. So the gold inlay surrounds the side of the stone. So what do you see? You only see the face of the stone, because the side of the stone is covered with the what? With the setting. Umechaber mishbetzos b'chsefos or ephod. And you attach the gold inlays. That's on the shoulder, and the diamonds within that. The Avni show him. There's an Orachaim before. It's a very Orachaim HaKodesh. He speaks about the. We have the big day Lov and the big day Zov, right? You have the white vestments, you have the gold vestments. So he says, based on the Zohar, that the white vestments correspond to Yud Kei Vav Kei, and the gold vestments correspond to Avni. Of course, it says in the pasuk Lechavod ul Tiferes. It should be honor and glory. Tiferes is glory. So he says the Yud Kei Vav Kei is more than Avni. Yud Kei Vav Kei represents Hashem in the fullest sense. Hoyehov Yiyah. That's Tiferes. Avni, he's the master. So he says, L'kovru Tiferes. Where is it? Yeah. Yeah, quotes the Zohar. Shmona begodim dalit shel bigdei lovan yirmuzu el dalit osios shel havayo baruch hu. The 4 vestments correspond to the 4 letters of Yud Kei Vav Kei. V'dalit bigdei zov yirmuzu el dalit osios shel adni. V'daki shem havayo baruch hu misyaches elof kinoi tiferes. Yud Kei Vav Kei is tiferes. Ki yodua, as it's known. Shem adni misyaches elof kinoi hakovod. Right? What's master? Master is honor. You honor a master. So kavod corresponds to big day zov. Utiferes connect big day love and seder kosov. Seder drogus hakdusha zulamay mazu. So one is more advanced. The higdims, he starts with the lesser. V'hoving. Now, he says something. V'tziv Hashem laso shmona begodim. Shem tzeusam yiskapi pegomim asher savu b'nei odom asher yagil l'mokom elyon. What's mentioned that people do different kinds of sins. You could have 2 people doing the same sin, and the negative effect of the sin for one person is much more serious than the other, even though they did it with the same level of intent, with the same level of defiance. The effect of one is worse than the other. Why? What is it dependent upon? So Rachaim HaKodesh explains it elsewhere. It depends on the dimension of a person's neshama. each person, based where he is, how close his neshama is, that's the effect, to the degree, the negative effect that the aver will have. He says this, we find that there's a halacha that a person inadvertently violates Shabbos. What does he have to do? He's bringing a chatos. Now, all the laws which pertain to that chatos are limited to the courtyard. The blood is sprinkled on the mizbeach, which is in the chotzer. Everything's in the courtyard. What about if a king sins? Same sin. Inadvertently violates Shabbos. The blood you sprinkle is towards the parochas, is the inner sanctuary, not the Holy of Holies, not the Kodesh Kadoshim. But we're speaking about in the inner sanctuary. The blood is sprinkled in. Only the remnant you pour at the base of the mizbeach. This is why. See, this is what he explains. Sprinkling it further in, that only indicates to what degree that avera, the ramifications of that avera, that it penetrated to in the sanctums. So because it penetrated to in the sanctums, therefore, there's Rika's dam, which is always kapor, which is atonement. When you sprinkle the blood, has to be sprinkled towards the parochas and on the inner mizbeach, on the gold mizbeach. And only what's left you pour at the base of the outer mizbeach. So he's saying over here that the Shmona Begodim, the vestments they come to atone on behalf of Klal Yisrael. He says, "Pegom mashisav b'nei odam mashigir lemokom elyon," which, with the ramifications, it reaches high levels. I mean, ubezei chubar oven ahul derech ze ishlos istam lo behikber Hashem al habegodim ba'aron v'lo b'Moshe. He says something interesting. So why, when Moshe officiated, he didn't officiate with Shmona Begodim, with the 8 vestments, right? So what did Moshe officiate? If the Kohen Gadol has to officiate to bring about Kapor for Klal Yisrael, Moshe wanted to officiate. He should have worn the same. So he says, "Their homrom kishmona begidei kuna mechaprim al shmona mini averos shu b'vnei Yisrael ashal kein lo tziva Hashem hadover el lahakohen haomi b'shoreis hu banav kol hayom l'chapin Yisrael." What was Moshe's function? What's Aaron and his children's function? The function of Aaron and his children is to atone for Klal Yisrael. Moshe officiating for 7 days had nothing to do with Klal Yisrael. That's to bring about, to qualify Aaron and his children. They should be qualified to be the Kohanim. He says, "Mashem Moshe shkol mashimish b'zayimei meluim lohoyu el lechaporas Aaron ubonov." That was the tone for them, that they should be worthy to be the Kohanim. It had nothing to do with Klal Yisrael. So therefore, Klal Yisrael, you have to have the representation of every conceivable type of chet. That's what the 8 vestments correspond to. Lamale is yodam lavod lashem, to inaugurate them, to qualify them, to initiate them, they should be able to function as Kohanim. Lo yitzorach l'mashi chapru ha-begodim kiniskar, had no relevance to what the begodim had to atone for. There's a shimish b'choluk, therefore white tunic was sufficient. This is not like the Shaloh HaKodesh, which I mentioned. Remember? I meant Shaloh. Moshe's vestment was his body. He's not going with this. He's saying the function of Moshe and the function of Aaron Banahu is totally different function. One is to atone for Klal Yisrael. One is to initiate, to qualify Aaron and his children. They should be qualified to be Kohanim. They should be atoned. Therefore, you don't need a representation of every conceivable chet. It's the Orachaim HaKodesh.
With this concept that a person is failing the is because each is responsible for one another, and if the person is sins, the impact is greater?
No. His neshama is greater. The Orachaim gives an example. You have a person who's a prince, or a person is a minister. Where is he? He's before the king. A person is a commoner. He's not even near the courtyard. So when he sins, what sin? Sin he soils. What does he soil? Does he soil the palace? And what part of the palace does he soil? Different levels. This is demonstrated through the Gemara by Rabbi Yonasan ben Uziel. When he would study Torah, the birds would burn over his head. When Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai would study Torah, wouldn't. What's the difference? They're studying the same Torah. They have the exact same level of knowledge. The answer is what's the dimension of the neshama? Rabbi Yochanan ben Uziel's neshama was a different dimension. Therefore, the ramifications of his Torah had greater ramifications. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, they didn't have that. Therefore, it didn't bring about that level of intensity. It has nothing with schar. In terms of schar, the schar is the same schar. same lishma, whatever it may be. But in terms of effect, the effect is a different effect. So it could be that's why when a tzaddik does it, two people do the same mitzvah. Person rose to a level of tzaddik, the other person is an ordinary person. And for this moment, the person does the mitzvah with tremendous kavanah, lishma, everything. It's a different dimension of mitzvah. Because the tzaddik who advanced himself, where's one mitzvah emanating from? Where's the other mitzvah emanating from? It's a whole different. It's a different source. So Hashem values one mitzvah differently. He values the other mitzvah. Although they're doing the two mitzvahs identically the same. I mentioned the other day, say the other week, when the Brisker Rav passed away. So Reb Chaim Shmulevitz said a hesped. He was the Rosh in the Mir. On Brisker Rav. So he says, when I eulogize the Brisker Rav, I'm not going to tell him the stories. He says, because from a story, you're not able to draw really, to understand what the significance of the action is. He says, I'll give you an example. Somebody hosts someone, and he says, rest under the shade of my tree, have a piece of bread, have some water. What is the ramification of that story? For an ordinary person, Hashem is going to give Anei Akovod and Mon and a bear because of that action of Chesed. But for Avraham Avinu, it was. So he gave some water. He offered the shade of his tree. A story has it depends who does the action. So he did that or he did that. Well, Chaim Yankel did the same thing. Yeah, but the difference is when Chaim Yankel does it, it's almost insignificant. When he does it, it's a whole different world. So based on stories, a story never tells you what the person is. It's not a reflection of what the person is. Firstly, who does it, what's it infused with. Therefore, it's all almost superficiality. A story is good to inspire. But a hesped is not to inspire. It's to reveal, to identify who the person is. Therefore, he says it's inappropriate. It's inappropriate to just tell him stories about the Brisker Rav. That's what Chaim Shmulevitz said. To be continued. What
was the end point?
Tiferes. You're just saying, Tiferes is glory. Kavod is honor. Glory, it's much broader. That's why the Kohen Gadol wanted to officiate on in the right only with the Avos Yom Kippurim. Itamar, yeah. Put it this way. No. It says they all four of them, and they would have sinned differently, not necessarily Sinai. We explained. I mean, an adult is not liable for the parent's sins. So what did none of you die because of Aaron's sin? Right? That's a question. Didn't protect them. So therefore, Elos and someone would have sinned differently. Not because it had nothing to do with Sinai. They would have had a different failing. They wouldn't have the clarity. Elos and Summer weren't on the same level as Nadav Avihu. And also because Nadav Avihu failed at Sinai. So I'm saying, so why didn't Hashem give them the clarity that they should be able to see and not do what they did? Well, that's Chazal. No, he prayed, his tefillah atoned for 50% of the decree. Originally, all four of his children were supposed to die.
So why was Isamar and Elazar, why were they supposed to die? Just because of Aaron's failing? What did they do wrong?
Nobody's perfect.
Okay.
Meaning, they would have failed in a way where they would have deserved to die on their own.
I don't know that they failed yet.
Right, no, right, exactly. You know, I just thought of something. Phenomenal. I'll say it afterwards. Just thought of it. That, you know, Moshe had to install Aaron, Nadav, Avihu. He had to install them as Kohanim, correct? Now, Ato Hakrivi is Aaron Ubonov. You must, the Torah says, you must bring Aaron Ubonov, install them as Kohanim. Install them. You must? The emphasis is the you. So he says something interesting. Who was supposed to be originally the Kohen? Moshe was supposed to be the Kohen, and he was going to be the Kohen Gadol. But because of what happened at the sneh, right? It was considered disrespect. Hashem says, you've lost it. So he'd say, seemingly that's a kapara. Still not enough. To be fully reinstated, he had to install them with ava, without any ill feeling. That's the ultimate level. That's ato hakrev. You understand? Ato hakrev. What would have been if all four of Aaron's children would have died? No. Aaron, the Kuna would have gone back to what's his name? It would have gone back to Moshe. Aaron had no children. If all four of his children would have died. If all four of his children would have died. Pinchas was after was born, he wasn't born yet. Because Nadav, they were younger. So if all four of his children would have died, he wouldn't have, what's his name? So Moshe had a conflict of interest here. He shouldn't have prayed. You know, Aaron deserves to, whatever it is, all his children will die. So he has on a certain subconscious level, Moshe should have had, there should have been some degree of holdback here. He prayed with his full heart. Right? So what does it say about Moshe Rabbeinu? He's selfless, that's what I'm saying. Even though it means that this puts me out forever. And here again, ato hakrev. Exactly. So not only that, not only did you pray, it's still not enough. You're still not fully reinstated. You got to really do it, put them fully in, and only then are you fully attached. There's still a slight trace of something, so to clean it up fully. No, but still. No, because there it's taking away something from some. They would be taking it away from Aaron. He's not going to do that, right? Once Aaron was set in place, I'm not going to take it away from Aaron. So good, but you know something? Now all his kids are going to die because of the mistake he had made. Prayed with his full heart, nulled 50% of the decree. He didn't know what would be nulled, but Hashem says, because of your tefillah, 50% of the decree is nulled, 2 of his children are going to survive. Even though he's the B'chor. He was the B'chor. No, that the Medrash says. It says, why did he wear the choshen on his heart? Because Hashem says, v'yotzav somach b'libo. That Aaron, when he will come out, Moshe was concerned he'd slide his brother. But Hashem says, you don't have to worry, v'yotzav somach. When he will come out to greet you in the desert, he'll have joy in his heart. So a heart which has such joy deserves to wear on its heart the choshen with the stones to atone for Klal Yisrael. That's the heart which atones for Klal Yisrael. Okay. But it goes more. It's more. It's not only that. He's not failing again. Even though this is where you failed, and this could have been your glory. Could have been your glory. It's not your glory. Still, you're happy for the other person that he has your glory. The glory that could have been yours. That's what we're talking about here. Something which is superhuman. Okay, same thing. Well, Aaron did. He says, you see, I'm not worthy. I'm not qualified. You embarrassed me. Right. But you realize Moshe, who was it? Cecil DeMille, Otto Preminger, who did the 10 Commandments. Okay. This is when I was 10 years old. Okay.